Yogis are observing 5 upadana-khandha, 5 aggregates subject to clinging as impermanence, suffering, and non-self. There are 5 aggregates. One aggregate is Saṅkhārakkhandha, volitional formation aggregates. It is somewhat difficult to understand. According to Abhidhamma, there are 52 mental states. Vedana feeling is one mental factor. Sanya perception is one, another mental factors, another aggregates, and remaining 50 mental states, Phassa, Cetana, etc., are collectively called volitional formation aggregates. Because this group is headed by a mental factors called volition or Cetana. The word formation is translation of the Pali word Saṅkhāra. Saṅkhāra means both producer and product. Something that produces other thing is called Saṅkhāra, and that which it's produced or which is conditioned by it is also called Saṅkhāra. So you understand Saṅkhāra has at least 2 meanings: the maker and that which is made. In the context of the volitional forms aggregates, now we are studying is maker. It makes something. Here we must understand the word Saṅkhāra in its active sense. And then Akusala Saṅkhāra, 14 Akusala Saṅkhāra. Today we go to dosa group. It is a group of 4 headed by dosa. They are dosa, asa, michriya, and kukucha. We want you to be familiar with the Pali names also, not just the English translation. So you have to know both the Pali and English. Dosa is translated here as hatred. Dosa means hatred, anger, ill will. Dosa, this again, unwholesome root, comprised of all kinds of degrees of aversion, ill will, anger, irritation, annoyance, and animosity. And also you understand 2 kinds of dosa, up dosa and down dosa. Anger, aversion is up and up, degree increase. Another one is down dosa, that is depression or sorrow. These are down dosa. So all these are understood under dosa. The characteristics of dosa is ferocity, cruelty. When there is dosa, You are very fierce, you are very rough, and you are very cruel. So it is compared to a snake that is hit by someone. When you hit a snake, especially a cobra, it will strike at you. Cobra will raise its head, also like that. When you are angry, you are like a cobra standing up. The function of dosa is to separate or to burn its own support. If you put poison in water, for example, it spreads all over. In the same way, where there is anger in you, when there is hatred in you, when there is depression in you, it spreads all over your mind. So the function is to separate or to burn up its own support. Dosa burns up our mind and body in which it arises. Anger can burn our physical body as well as our mental states. Anger can cause a person to get a stroke or high blood pressure. Anger can cause a lot of physical ailments. Also, when there is anger in our minds, then our minds are contaminated and there is akusala, unwholesome. So anger as a rule leads to be reborn in hell. So maybe physician recommend to practice meditation to reduce anger, to get rid of all kinds of ailments. And the characteristics of anger is ferocity. The function is to spread or to burn up its own support. That is the mind and body in which it arises. It is manifested as persecuting, that is oppressing. Persecuting means afflicting. If we are angry, actually we are afflicted by that anger. Before we do anything to that other person, we ourselves are afflicted with suffering. And the proximate cause of anger is a ground for annoyance. Akata vitu. Ground for annoyance. You may understand the grounds for annoyance. You are thinking, that person has done harm to me, so I'm angry with him. This person is doing harm to me. This person will do harm to me. And then another one is, this person has done harm to a person that is dear to me. This person is doing harm to a person who is dear to me. This person will do harm to a person who is dear to me. First ourselves, and then the one we dear, the one we dear. The next one is the one we hate. So another one is, this person has done something good to the person that I hate. This person is doing good to the person that I hate. This person will do good to the person that I hate. So how many grounds for annoyance? There are 9 grounds for annoyance, 9 grounds for anger. Thinking in one of these 9 ways, we get angry. That is what is called here grounds for annoyance, reason for annoyance. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes we don't like it when someone we hate gets something good we don't like. So another one is atanakopa, anger arises without reason. Sometimes weather too cold, anger arises, I don't like. Sometimes too windy, I don't like, anger arises. No reason, anger arises. So that is also altogether ground for annoyance are 10. Anger arises when we meet with an unpleasant object. If we are mindful, we get angry. So anger is like disease. So when anger arises in us, we have to remove it quickly. We are lucky just to note anger, anger, anger. So your mindfulness is very powerful. If you note diligently, anger will go away. So we should not underestimate any sickness because anger is like disease. But we should take a quick action to make a treatment of this illness, even a minor illness like headache. In the same way, anger is illness, and a quick action should be taken to remove that anger. So what is the best remedy? Best remedy, best treatment is very simple method, mindfulness meditation. When we are ill, especially infested with malaria, that person usually lose appetite and find no food delicious. Food sweet for others may be bitter for him. Even sugary food, palm sugar would taste like bitter for a sick person. Actually, sugar does not change in taste, but his tongue does change in appetite due to sickness. In the same way, when you are angry, you always find fault with people like relatives, friends, or acquaintance. Normally, if you are very normal, if you have no anger, you appreciate the advice of your friends. As thanks them for their kind advice, But when you are angry, you may turn a deaf ear to them or reject what they say and even hate them under the impression that they are supporting your opponents. So we need to be cautious when we try to pacify an angry man. By and large, two quarreling men, we hate any attempt to mediate between them or to bring them to their senses. So we are likely to be in trouble if we mediate in a dispute or a fight. Consumed with hatred, they would not heed what we say. They may even resent it, although we try to mediate between them with the best of intention. So when we are angry about anything, we should consider ourselves infested with disease and restrain our anger quickly with the help of mindfulness. Otherwise, it will get worse and in the end spell disaster for its victim as well as for other people. The destructive nature of anger is clear in the story of Vedehika. Vedehika was a housewife. She lived in Savatthi city before the time of our Lord Buddha. People in her neighborhood held her in high esteem for a character that they believed admirable. On top of her friendliness, kindness, and affability, Vedika is so kind, Vedika is so friendly. They, they talk about Vedika, goodness. They did not see any defect in Vedika character. Vedika had a servant girl called Kali. In Kali, Pali is dark. Because of her dark skin complexion, she is called Kali. On hearing many of her neighbors praise her mistress Vedehika, the servant Kali wondered whether my mistress Kali character was really admirable or my mistress Vedehika did not show her true colors just because she the Kali, a very dutiful servant, fulfill all Vedehika needs. So one morning, Kali wanted to test the moral character of her mistress Vedehika. Kali purposely did not get up early from bed as usual. When Vedehika found her servant Kali had not yet done housework as usual, now cleaning, preparation for breakfast is not ready yet. So Vedehika compassionately thought Kali had not being very well. So Vedehika asked Kali, Kali, what happened to you? Kali replied, nothing happened. Why you not get up? I do not get up early just because I want to sleep. She replied in this way. Then Vedehika frowned at her but did not see any words of anger. The next day, Kali tested her again in the same way. And now Vedehika was furious and scolded her. Then when she repeated her test for the third time, now this time Vedehika could not be patient. Vedehika became very furious and threw a door bolt at Kali. So it smashed her head seriously. So in this way, Vedehika's violent outbursts of dosa reveal her ugly character. All our words and actions stem from our mind. So there is no doubt about the importance of mind chitta and the need to control our mind. There is always the mind as a driving force behind all our actions, whether good or bad. Of course, it is also the mind that underlies all our wholesome actions. You perform charity, you perform dana, you observe sila, you practice meditation very patiently. It is your mind that underlines all your wholesome action. So your mind is a driving force behind all your actions. So well-developed country seek to control the atom to harness the atomic energy to generate terrible weapons. They always busy doing a lot of research on the material phenomena in order to conquer the material world. But far more important is to conquer our mind or to gain control over our mind. It is lack of mind control that has led to much suffering, as is evident in the story of Vedehika. At first, Vedehika is very good, was very good, but she cannot be very patient when other people not good. So the servant Kali, now her head smashed. So she went out and told the neighbors, now look at my head, blood come out. How brutally my mistress Vedehika treated me, she shouted. In this way, Vedehika's cruelty and hypocrisy was revealed, and people became critical to her characters. Now her critics even outnumbers those who used to praise her before. Of course, it is easier for us to be blamed than to be praised. To earn public admiration, we need to possess self-restraint and other virtues, and the maintenance of our reputation requires lifelong struggle for moral purity. Some people get tainted with scandals towards the end of their lives and so suffer a serious blow to their social standing. To preserve our good name is an uphill task, whereas it is easy to acquire condemnation. So there are some people who fall into disgrace overnight by doing something morally wrong. The root cause of such public disgrace is often related to anger. Anger is a dangerous disease that festers and makes its victim behave carelessly and shamelessly. So we need to remove our anger out. The eradications of anger always benefits ourselves and everybody else around us. During an intensive retreat, as well as in our daily life or in our living world, the eradications of anger always benefits. There are only a few people who live alone. Most of us live in society, in community, dealing with people around us on day-to-day basis. In a household, for example, there are at least 2%. In some areas, daughter and mother. The two need to get on in harmony with each other. In any case, minor conflicts and resentments are unavoidable. So when we get angry, we should remember we get infested with disease. Then we should take an immediate action by noting it carefully so that we can overcome anger, or at least we can keep anger under control. Otherwise, anger grows strong enough to speak out what's improper or abuses to the other. So in this way, minor conflict between two spouses or two persons may end up in open hostility and discord, even in divorce, making both suffer a lot. So that is the example of the price that we have to pay here and now for lack of self-control. If our dosa outbursts leading to an evil deed, the evildoer will have to pay heavy price for the evil in terms of prolonged misfortune throughout the life cycle. No meditators also need to prevent the outbursts of dosa for their own well-being in their everyday life. So we need to understand anger is like a disease. If a man was afflicted with a contagious disease, for instance, like leprosy, people loathe and stay away from him. Even his relatives and friends do not wish to come into close contact with him for fear of infection. In the same way, when dosa, anger, outbursts like a disease, it causes damage to healthy relationship between our society, between our countries. So in this sense, dosa is exactly like disease. It is very important to note and remove above all else. So Yogi, very familiar this technique, note and reject. So every time we have a talk, we have to put emphasis on this point, because in most cases we quarrel, we have conflict with our closest ones who are always there to help us when we are in need, who are those we can practically rely on. There are very few cases in which people quarrel with those who live far away, like in other towns, cities, or states. There are people we live in who, who live in other countries, but we don't even know their existence. So there's no reason to quarrel with uh, those people, nor is there anything we can do to help each other either. So the people whom we are likely to quarrel with are often our neighbors, our family members, our relatives, who are always there with us and help us in times of needs. And also the people whom we are likely to quarrel with are often the people in our living world. So in village, quarrels break out among neighbors whose houses are close together. They seldom occur among those who live one or two houses apart. So they are those whom we have to approach for help when needed, although they are those we quarrel with. In order to ensure unity, harmony, and mutual well-being among those living together, we should always be on the alert for the infections of dosa. As soon as we become aware of signs of resentment, like a frown in our facial expression, raised voice, or unpleasant feeling, we should restrain and try to nip our temper in the bud so that it may not affect us emotionally any further. Dosa tends to feed on itself, and so we should not allow it to gain momentum. So for example, we should stop talking when we get angry, when we notice our emotion underlying our tone of voice. So even if we cannot practice uh, all higher one, we need to follow this instruction. We need to remember this. Anger is disease. If there is anger, we have to remove it quickly by noting precisely. So dosa, another one is asa. Asa is envy. It is a characteristic of being jealous of others' success. Success really means anything, his wealth, his appearance, his beauty, whatever it is. The functions of Asa really means the functions of Asa is to be dissatisfied with other success. I don't like other people's success like this. It is manifested as aversion towards that. The proximate cause is other success. Success means everything, and we take another person's success as object. Another one is michariya or avarice. The characteristics of michariya or stinginess is concealing one's own success when it has been obtained or when it can be obtained. That means with regard to what you already have, you have this kinds of concealing. You want to conceal your success or whatever. Sometimes when you think you are going to get something, you don't want it to be in common to other person. Let's say I'm going to get these things. Before I get these things, before it becomes my property, but I know it is going to become mine, then I will not like you using things. So that is also michariya. Michariya takes the object which is already one's own property or which is going to be one's properties as object. The function of michariya is not to bear sharing these with other people. It is not able to bear sharing the property with other people. Michariya is commonly understood as stinginess. We don't know what stinginess means. You don't want to lose anything. Michariya always arises with dosa mula citta. Michariya is not lobha. So michariya is not really stinginess. It is not being able to bear sharing your things with other people. Another person comes and uses the things you possess, you become angry. You don't like it. So that is michariya. Michariya is manifested as shrinking away from sharing. You don't want to share with other people. And the proximate cause of Micharya is one's own success. It takes one's own success, one's own property as object. I don't want my property, my things to be shared by other people. I want to use it only for myself. And also there was a rich man who cooked cakes in his house. He was called Micharya Kosya. So Micharya Kosya was very stingy. He could not bear sharing even with his wife. So he said, only for me you have to cook. So he was very stingy. He could not bear sharing even with his wife. And there are 5 kinds of Micharya. There is avarice with regard to avasa, dwelling place. That means I'm living here. I don't want you to come and live with me. There is one kind of Micharya. I don't want to share my room. I don't want to share my kuti. I don't want to share my house with you. So that is dwelling place. Another one is Kula, family. It is mostly for monks, nuns, and great teachers. Suppose now you are my students. I want you to be my students only. I don't want you to be the students of other teacher. I cannot bear to share you with other teachers. So I want you to be my supporters. I don't want you to support other monks. So this is called avarice regarding family. Another one is labha, gain. Suppose I'm a famous monk, famous teacher, and I get many things offered by devotees and supporters. And I want people to give to me only. I don't want people to give other monks. So there is a kind of avarice regarding gain, regarding things I get. And there is avarice regarding vana, one's own appearance. Suppose I'm beautiful, so I only want to be beautiful myself. I don't want other people to be beautiful. If I am famous, I want that only I shall be famous. I don't want other people to be famous. That is avarice regarding one's appearance or one's fame. The last one is avarice with regard to Dhamma. Dhamma here means learning. I want that only I should understand. I want that I alone will understand. I don't want to share my understanding with other people. So I will keep my understanding for myself. That is avarice regarding Dhamma. So there is an element of hate or evil in Micharya or avarice. That is why it will only accompany the 2 citta with dosa and not the other chetas accompanied by lobha and moha. Although Machiriya may be called stinginess, it is not attachment to things, it is not attachment to person. It can bear to share those things with other person. That is what is meant by Machiriya. Another one is Kukucha. Kukucha is worry or remorse after having done wrong. There are two kinds of past action, bad actions and good actions. With regard to bad action done in the past, I have remorse, I have regret. So I think I've done that wrong things. So there is also remorse with regard to good things I did not do in the past. I think, oh, I should have done that. Here, worry or remorse as two kinds of objects. Good actions, good karma, which I have not done in the past, and bad karma, which I have done in the past. So with regard to both, there is a kind of remorse or regret, which is called kukucha. So the characteristics of kukucha is subsequent regret. That means regret comes after having done or having not done. The functions of kukucha is to sorrow over what has been done and that has not been done. And you say, oh, I have done this akusala unwholesome. And then you have sorrow over that. I have not done this kusala, this wholesome. You think, and then you sorrow over it. So it is manifested as remorse. So the proximate cause of kukucha is what has and what has not been done, that is wrong of commission and omission. So we tend to get kukucha or remorse about things done and things not done. So the word kukucha has another connotation. You may not come across this connotation because it has to do with Vinaya, discipline for the monks. In the Vinaya literature, kukucha can mean something positive. It is good quality for monks to have kukucha. It is called Vinaya kukucha. That means you try to find out or you try to understand whether it is allowed for monks or whether it is not allowed for monks, whether he can do this or whether he cannot do this. If it is allowable, then you do not do it. That is sometimes what is called kukucha, Vinaya kukucha. That is not unwholesome. It may be wholesome. That connotation you will only find in Vinaya, discipline for the monks, when it describes a good monk. Here in Abhidhamma, kukucha is akusala, unwholesome. It is remorse. So it is better to say the word kukucha, remorse, to the words worry, because worry may not necessarily be kukucha. If you worry about past action, it may be kokocha, but sometimes you worry about the future. Worry about the future is not kokocha. So I think remorse or regret is better than the word worry. So these are grouped together. Dosa, Esa, Michiriya, and Kokocha. And the next comes the twins, Tina and Maida, Sloth and Topple. They always arise together. We call them sleepiness. When we are sleepy or when our mind is not alert, then it is sure that Sloth and Topple have come into our mind. Sloth is sluggishness or dullness of mind, dullness of consciousness. The characteristic of Tina is lack of driving power. The function is to dispel energy. It is manifested as the sinking of the mind. And the proximate cause is unwise reflection to boredom, drowsiness, etc. And the next one is Meda Topple is morbid state of the mental factors. That means sluggishness of mental factors. Tina has to do with Chaita. The other Meda has to do with Chaitasika. Since Chaita and Chaitasika, mind and mental factors always arise together, Tina and Meda also always arise together. They are never separated. However, Tina and Meda are two separate mental factors. When there is Tina and Meda, you don't want to do things, you don't want to practice, your mind is not alert, and the characteristic is said to be unwieldiness. The function is to smoother. It is manifested as drooping or as nodding, as sleepiness, and the proximate cause is the same as that of sloth. So sloth is identified as sickness of consciousness, Chaita Gilinya. Double as sickness of mental factors, Kaya Gilinya. As a pair, they constitute one of the 5 mental hindrances, 5 nivarana, which is overcome by your initial application, your vitaka. So Tina Meda, and we continue tomorrow. We have to stop our discourse today. By practicing vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the 6 senses, by noting every physical behavior, by observing every mental actions, by noting every sensation or feeling, by noting every phenomena occurring at the 6 senses, continuously and meticulously. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So Wabarakatuh.